the bathroom, episode 1. "This mince needs something," grunted father, returning a barely chewed mouthful to his dessert spoon. He looked at it thoughtfully, prodded it gently and banged it onto his plate. Then he lifted me by the collar. "Away downstairs and find something, quick. The mince isn't going to get hotter." As I ran out the front door, pausing to pick myself up after my big sister's leg had shot out like lightning to add a spice of danger to my mission, I could hear mother scraping the mince back into the pot to keep warm. I reached the middens in no time and jumped straight into the first one. A cloud of cinders rose, and I could no longer see, but I could hear the clink of glass below my feet. Crouching down, I felt for bottles, then rubbed them on my jersey to see what they were. 3 beer bottles, a milk bottle, a bottle of castor oil, half used, and a bottle of OK sauce. I grabbed the OK and jumped out, placed it on the grass and leapt straight into the middle one. It was all kipper bones, skins and potato peelings. It's got to be number 3, I thought, panic rising in my chest. My prayer was answered. Number 3 was full. I could pick and choose. I stuffed 6 sauce bottles and 3 wine bottles up my jersey, kicked the OK sauce contemptuously to one side, made my way back up like a bochel nearly come to term, and banged my head on the door. When it opened, I staggered over to the sink, where mother deftly transferred my treasure below the tap. My big sister wiped them dry on mother's pinny and placed them in gorgeous array on the kitchen table. Father emptied the wine, 2 whites and a red, into our Queen's Arms 1-pint glass mug. Mother slapped sauce into the mince with the heel of her sturdy hand. It took 4 bottles to get the taste right. Then we sat down to a banquet of riotously flavoured mince and wee sips of wine, followed by 3 pineapple chunks each with juice. Afterwards, as we children lay, replete, on the carpet, burping quietly, mother's eye caught my jersey. "Look at you," she screamed, and, raising me across her knee, beat me like an old rug, and raising, as far as I could see, a good-sized cloud of dust. The lid. All the chirps that you hear from a bird make their way out via the beak. The beak has a lateral slit, and from there the sound breaks through. The bird is a box, a musical box, and the beak is the lid. If you open the lid, a chirp comes out. If you shut it, the bird falls still. Never open the beak of the chatterbox. You'll never get it shut. 25,000 miles. Every time I lift my foot, I look around, then place it on the ground. If I need to go from A to B, I point my body that way. Then I lift my foot, I look around and place it on the ground. Look around. There's nowhere else to place it. I've tried to hover, to have a jolly good look, but I start to keel over. Another thing I've noticed, I've got a groin. I expect you've one yourself. It limits the length of your stride to twice the length of your leg. Given the size of the earth, I expect it's a good idea, for if you could take a stride as long as you want, you wouldn't be here. A jolly woman with a great big smile walked down the road for a very long while. Soon she came up to a little flat town and sat down. Boy, my feet are killing me. I'm pouring sweat in my lingerie. What I need is a shower. She stood in the car wash a couple of hours. I don't know what's the matter with me, my head going round and round. She lay down flat on the ground. Down flew the buzzards with their claws so neat, and nipped off the meat from the head to the feet. She stayed forever in the little flat town. Soon she was part of the ground. Do not stand in my light, Daddy, stand in the dark. Do not stand in my light, Daddy, stand in the dark. But when the morning comes, there's plenty of light for all. Do not stand in my light, Daddy, stand in the dark. Why don't you stand in the corner between two walls? So do not stand in my light, Daddy, stand in the dark. When Mother comes, she'll not be able to find you. So do not stand in my light, Daddy, stand in the dark. Your side. I left you sitting there and crossed the brook to buy the sports paper to see if my horse had come up. It was the rainy season, and the brook became a mighty river while my back was turned. We could only stand and gaze across the torrent at one another with worried smiles till January. My horse had come up at 1,000,000 to 1, and the betting shop was at your side. Pszczoła. You can tell a bee 100 times that it is a bee, then return it to the hive, but not a single bee will leave the hive to thank you for the information. They won't even sting you for trying to impress the fact upon their chum. They just do not want to know. All they do know is one word: buzz. I expect that took them 1,000,000 years to learn, and they're still recovering from the effort. All they make is honey. Why don't they diversify? For the same reason as they don't want to learn what they are, I suppose. Maybe the religion tells them that ignorance is bliss, and the way to heaven is to get on gathering that good old nectar and pollen. The Polish for bee is pszczoła. I should have tried that instead. Ros vulgaris. The dewdrop is the jellyfish of the land. Because of compartmentalism in the life sciences, and because scientists need 8 hours rest like the rest of us, the dewdrop, Ros vulgaris, has not received their attention. The dewdrop swells up just before dawn, extrudes a set of clear, hair-like legs, and rushes up the nearest plant to catch the sun's rays. It then reabsorbs its legs. The rays complete the life cycle. I have never heard a word of complaint against Ros vulgaris, so let it be, or pszczoła. Hey, I saw a chunky mountain, la 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 la. Hey, I saw a chunky mountain, la 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 la. Hey, I saw a chunky mountain, la 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 la. Hey, I saw a chunky mountain, la 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 la. Hey, I saw a bulky lake, black and flat in the dale. Hey, I saw a chunky mountain, la 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 la, la 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 la. A chunky mountain and a bulky lake, la 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 la. took a dirty hanky to the stream and knelt to wash it clean. Oh, bloody hell, I've slipped a disc and crawled back to my cottage. I took 2 paracetamol and crouched upon the couch till Sal came home and jumped and danced along my spine until the blessed disc clicked back. Then we sat down to tea. I'll hang the hanky up, said Sal. Your back must still be sore. Doing the Bathroom, Episode 2. After dinner, I ran down the stairs to play at the stony field, which lay several yards away. There was a deep roar of men, empathising with their favourite mercenaries, coming from Ibrox Park, so it was Saturday afternoon, and Glasgow Rangers were out on the pitch earning their living. Mother once told Grandma that the roar helped to break up the accumulation of wax in our ears, so I used to stand still whenever I heard it to sense whether anything was taking place, then tilt my head to see if wax rubble would pour out, like the spectators out the gates when the match was over. There was an unattended lorry on the stony field with 3 wee boys running about on the back. I joined them, first of all looking cautiously around for adults. I had never done anything as daring before, but, having brothers and a sister, I knew all about the laws of property. I discovered that the lorry belonged to the father of one of the boys, and that his daddy had left him to guard the lorry. I asked him if I could climb on the back. He was upset and was crying because he knew that he would be in big trouble. But the other 2 boys were paying no heed, so I climbed aboard. There was a nice smell of engine oil and wood heated by the sun. The back was just a lot of planks, making a flat bed, with bits missing that you could see through. As I ran about the planks in a mindless sort of way, like a fly, I was brought back to reality by the owner, who had been fetched by his son, and who was now shouting and cursing. Terrified, I scrambled down and fled, but noticed that I was not being pursued. The relief was enormous. I also noticed that his voice had a whine to it, and that his face had the look of failure and despair. So I finished up feeling sorry for them both. Me, 7 years old. Mind you, it was the Great Depression, 1930, and a good time to crystallize political attitudes.